Hello, everyone, and welcome to Infinite Integration. I'm Tanys Coughlan from the Twillow Lifestyle Community, Twillow Lifestyle Academy. I am joined by my beautiful co-host, Jacqueline Richards.
Good day, good day.
Welcome. So today we are here to talk about boundaries and balance. So those are big words, B words. We've got a lot of B words going on today. So why do you think people struggle with boundaries?
Oh, Tannis, I think that people first aren't sure that they struggle with boundaries, because if that's your DNA, if that's you grew up with, and when you had to say, you believed you needed to say yes to that, yes to that, yes to that, and oh, of course I'll do that, even though it doesn't work out for you. You're it for you, and you're doing it for other people, believing you're doing it for you. Boundaries, it's how easy could that be? You bought a chocolate bar for $2. Back in the day, it only cost $1. You're paying $1. It costs $2 in this day and age and in that store. Boundaries. The boundary is it costs $2. And you can fight it if you want. I don't imagine you'll win that game.
No, not likely.
No.
So I think it's also about like the desire to help, right?
Yeah.
We want to help everybody. So we think, okay, we're gonna do this even though it's not really what we want to do.
Yeah.
So I think, when we look at heart-led people, for instance, there's this there's a lot of guilt around it.
Just a bit of guilt. Yeah.
If I don't do this, what if, right? Yeah. And it's all based on fear, because there's the fear of losing a client, losing an opportunity when you're talking about business, or losing a friend,
Yeah. Oh, yes. And it's interesting you talk about business. So, so often we talk about boundaries and think it's about just those family relationships, just those friendships. No, it's business.
Yeah.
An opportunity comes to you and you believe you need to say yes. And, show of hands who've said yes to an opportunity, that when you take a real, true look at it, it might not be the right one for your business or for you.
Yeah. I would say early days, that was something that was common for me. I'd like to think I'm a little bit more discerning now, but you know what? We all fall into that, right? I don't know. I think it is that sort of, and it's really programmed into us, right? Because we're people pleasers in terms of being heart-led. We're people pleasers, but in doing so, we end up self-abandoning. So there's a difference between being of service to people and sitting in that, and being open to be of service, and self-sacrificing to be of service.
Oh, that S word, sacrifice, but not just sacrifice, self-sacrifice.
Yes.
It'd be, I don't know if we talked about companies that did exactly that. They could be small or large companies that absolutely decided, I will take that opportunity. I will do that because people are saying it's the right thing to do. And I didn't take a look at my strategies, my values. I didn't take a look at what my staff might feel about it. Yeah. Large companies forget to take a look at what those boundaries are. Sometimes it's just about the money. We'll make good money on it.
But that's really sitting in fear, right? Because we really need to love what we do.
Yeah.
Whether it's business or in our personal lives, right? We need to love what we do. So let's say hello to Hypnocity. Welcome, Nalani. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. And so the question is, why do we do that? I think there's like this archetype that is like that overgiving caregiver archetype. We think that if we're caring for everybody else, that somehow that makes us better.
Well, and could it be, if you do that for everybody, everyone will be okay? everyone will be serviced, everyone will
Yeah.
be. And you think, is that fair? I remember someone say to me in business, Jacqueline, I know you want to help absolutely everyone in your yogic stuff. And they call it stuff, in your yogic stuff. And I know you
Hmm.
want to help people for mortgages. You believe that absolutely everyone deserves a mortgage in that space for that home or that piece of real estate. Jacqueline, you would love to know you could help absolutely everyone.
What happens if we can't?
Exactly. I had to turn the pages and say, right here, this policy says I can't do that. And I'm going to try my darndest. But if you only make 50,000 and you're buying something that requires you make 100,000, not only are those my boundaries and my policies, but could that be your boundaries as well?
Hmm. It's going to, sometimes we don't even know what our boundaries are. And I think
Mm,
certainly when you're talking in mortgages and stuff, those boundaries are there that are regulated. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
um,
At capacity. So we work with
yes.
S words, self sabotage, and
So
C words, and C words, capacity,
yeah.
credit, and credit both ways, right?
Hmm.
Not just money credit, not TransUnion, not those credits, but you,
Yeah.
that human, credit yourself.
That I think a lot of us have, worthiness tied in.
Hmm.
Worthiness is tied into usefulness. So if we are useful to
Yeah,
absolutely everybody, then we are
yeah,
really worthy,
yeah.
and we're allowed to be worthy, right? The thing is that we don't have to be useful to be worthy. I mean, what is useful? Useful could be me holding space when it's time, when I have the capacity to do so,
Ah,
right?
indeed. Interesting you say that, useful. When you take a look at uh, your wants and needs, and you need someone to help you make decisions, and you find someone who takes your hand, who lends an ear, what does that mean? What were you looking for? Were you hoping that someone would say, yes, absolutely, you can do it? Or were you looking for someone to say, no, so way, no, you can't?
Of course, everyone's looking for a yes, right? If they're asking. Or, well, I mean, usually,
Yeah.
right? I was going to say everybody, but maybe that's not accurate.
I know people. So I had a conversation with someone who really, it was actually a it was a couple, and you could tell who wanted me to say yes and who wanted me to say no, I don't think so right now. Interesting. Was I playing that winning game? No. But not that's not fair. It's about capacity.
It is.
It's about going over and suggesting, let's be generous with ourselves. Let's not stress ourselves out. I know you want me, and I never say it, but I know you want me to say yes and you want me to say no way. And if I open the doors and say, let's take pen, paper, maybe even a calculator, and then take a look at what you really think you want to buy. Is that it? Maybe not. Maybe something smaller, maybe a different location, maybe more land or less land.
Mhm.
It's it's interesting when you take a look at what fear is and borders. We do it all the often. And side
We do.
note, the oh my gosh, the beautiful gentleman. I cannot believe it's just fell out of my head. It's not Buddha, it's the monk who walked and walked and walked miles and miles and miles to get from one location to another, to open his breath, to open his heart and say, I need to let you know that I am not sure that you understand what's happening to the world around you. I'm not sure, but I'd love to have a conversation with you.
Mhm.
walked millions, thousands of miles just to make that statement. Now, was that fear? No.
No, that was
Fear,
love.
exactly. Fear might have been in that person, that delegation, who was looking to hear what this monk had to say.
Mhm.
Out of love, the monk says. Fearless, monk says. Fearful, those who are asked to stay, stop, listen.
Mhm.
Perhaps.
Just want to say welcome to Shem. Hey, Shem. Thanks
Hey,
for
yeah.
joining us. And Melanie says, being here doing these shows is a great help to me. We're very pleased. Thank you for letting us know. She says, yes, she's looking for yes. You're
Thank you.
heard and won't be judged for thinking differently.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes is like that agreement, right? Otherwise, it's seen as like a rejection of sorts.
Yeah. You're
And we don't
not
want
with,
to do that.
exactly. You're not with the group if you say no.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I know there's many of us who can raise a hand who've been put in that position. We've had to say yes for the group dynamic, or we had to say no for the group dynamic. And then how did we feel? Did that exhausts me that I need
Mhm.
to uh, detract from my DNA?
Yeah. Well, it's self-abandonment, right? The
Yeah.
self-sacrificing is self-abandonment.
Yeah.
When we abandon what we need, or we abandon what our needs are, or what we would
Yeah.
want to do, we're the only one responsible for that, right? There's a lot of blame that we send out and everything, but we have to have our own boundaries because we are sovereign beings and we have free will and we make choices. And I know that there are so many times where we make choices that are not necessarily what we would want, particularly family things and whatnot, right? Or clients or
Yes.
friends, where you're like,
Yeah.
okay, like you were saying, right? The happiness of the group is put above your own personal happiness.
Yeah.
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 And those are all little self-abandonment things all along. So if you have abandonment wounds and you're doing self-abandonment to yourself, it doesn't help.
You
Let's
know,
just say
and it's
that.
interesting because then abandonment, because I said it exhausts me, it fatigues me to have those sorts of interactions.
Yeah.
And then I need to take a long, deep breath. I lift my shoulders, I take them back, I release them down and wonder, is that irritation? Is it unspiritual? I want to ask the group, is that irritation that I might be feeling against my spiritual dynamics?
Well, I think when we're overgiving, that resentment creeps in, right?
Mm.
We're giving and then all of a sudden we're like, okay, I'm exhausted and
Yeah.
I can't give anymore. But then
Yeah.
we're already into it, right? And you
Yeah.
feel like you can't put a boundary on it. So,
I'm feeling pretty good about getting my boundaries in place.
mhm.
Pretty good. Because I write about it. And it's like, let me just, so I have a notebook beside me and a pen that works, a pen that works. And I
Important.
will, it's very important because everyone knows when you have that idea and then you decide to get up, you decide to take the pen and you think, well, for me, it was, do I want to, at this point in time, I was going to go to a retreat. At this moment in time, will that make sense for me? Oh my gosh, there is a moment in time where it absolutely won't make sense for me, but perhaps not this moment. In 6 months, that moment will happen. And I had to write it down and know that saying yes and later is okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do we know when we're overgiving, Jacqueline?
Our bodies speak to us.
Mhm.
Our bodies speak to us, I have to say. Um, Yesterday, you have something in your mind And because it happened to be the beginning, the first day of the year for the fire horse.
Yes.
And so sometimes people have taken a look and thought, you know what? I love this numerology stuff. And what it said, I read it, wasn't me, it might have been Tanys, who said there's 3 things that you need to want to do before the end of that particular day. And it's write down 3 things that you need to let go of. So personal, spiritual, and then it could be um, uh, business.
Career or business. Yeah.
Thank you. So 3 things. It was I wrote down 1. So here it is. It's about 9 o'clock at night, and I wrote down 1. I had 2 more to go, but it was nagging at me. Is I had furniture that need to go. Have you inherited furniture from people who love you, and you've had it for 10 years, and it's breaking, it's cracking, it's the color is not the color you would have picked. However, Tannis said it. You nod and say, thank you so much.
Yeah.
10 years of nodding, thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's the fire horse. So at 9:15, I started bringing down the items. They're not light. They weren't light items. They were not light. I had to put my arms up and say, you need to go now. And so 1, 2, 3 items that technically I should have had help with. No, woulda, shoulda, coulda. Technically, I had to breathe deeply, lift my shoulders, take them back, drop them down, and lift that heavy piece all the way outside. 3 pieces. And why did I do that? I'm going to ask the group, why did I do that? Did it have to do with 10 years of saying thank you so much? Isn't this my time?
Built up, right? Built up.
Yeah. And now it's time. I felt like $1,000,000. Now it's 11 o'clock. My neighbors, I think lights went on, but that's okay. No one came out to say, hey, Jacqueline, can I help you? And that's okay. That's okay. Because they must have realized this was me not just decluttering, but those were my boundaries. And I was releasing my boundaries. And I think we should consider that more often. Just let it go, release, get it out. Yeah. And you know what's amazing about that? The day I picked to take all 3 out of those incredibly heavy items outdoors, sit them on the curb, write a little note that says it's free. It also happened to be garbage day the next day.
Yeah.
Was so I happy?
Or go.
That's right. And I was just about to say, Tannis, that's a shallow moment. No, there was nothing shallow about that.
No. That was you having a boundary.
Exactly. One man's junk is another man's treasure. Person's treasure. Yeah. I'm going to roll with that. And I know everyone's raising their hand and said, I would have done that too. 10 years. 10 years.
Hypnicity says, I have to surrender the need to understand why things occur. Yes, don't we though?
We do.
It's one of those things. Yes, and I think when we look at our physical reactions to overgiving, we get things like you were saying. Look at your body, right? So you feel a tightness in your solar plexus, and when you go to do things, or the hips, yes, or you go to do something for somebody that you've overgiven to, or whatever the situation is, and there's a lot of fatigue.
Yeah.
After that,
here's a question: you do that, and you get in your car to leave, because maybe that's exactly how it had to happen. You get in your car and you can't stop crying, and you say to yourself, "Why am I crying? I don't understand."
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you do understand.
Energetic overload, right? When
Yeah.
we're being bombarded with energies that are not quite the same vibration as us, we can be overstimulated and stuff. And that creates that. And that's another way that we need to balance ourselves and have energetic boundaries
Yeah.
so that we don't feel all of that. Right? So, because if we do, we start feeling it, that overwhelm can come in as irritation. It can come in as like, I know when I'm a little overwhelmed, I'm like, it's like you're bracing yourself, right? You're like, don't even talk to me. And, and then we get down on ourselves after that because we think, well, that's not very spiritual.
Yeah.
For me to feel that way.
Exactly.
But really, it's because we're not having boundaries. So really, boundaries are about showing love to others. Because if I put up my boundary and say, okay, you know what, I'm almost at my point now. I need to stop, or I need to have some time, or whatever that is. That's a lot more loving than getting irritated and getting annoyed when somebody just says hello.
Yeah. And then they say something like, and what's the matter with you?
Exactly. And you're like,
we won't even
I don't know.
I
don't know. I just need some time.
Yeah.
So, putting up the boundary of I need some time, or I need some space, I need some alone time, or I need to go for a walk, or I need to sit and have a quiet cup of tea. When we have those kind of boundaries, it can really help to monitor our energy level.
Yeah.
Right? Moderate our energy level, balance things out for us.
Interesting you've said that, because then I get to ask, once you get to that space, so either a person or peoples have put you in that place where you've had to say, I'll do it. I'll accommodate.
Mm-hmm.
And then do you find yourself apologizing to either them or yourself? Because maybe it's about timing. Maybe it didn't work for you. Technically, maybe it didn't work in your schedule. And then you had to call and say, you know what, I need a little more time because it's not working in my schedule. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. And those times I often get annoyed with myself, right?
Mm.
Because I think I should have been more self-aware. I should have been able to see what my schedule is. I should have looked before I answered. There's all these I shoulda. And that's where we should ourselves to death. Right? We should ourselves to death a lot.
Yeah.
So I think that, really to find balance in our lives, the boundaries are essential. Now, how do we figure out what our boundaries are? That's another whole thing. That requires that self-reflection, right?
Yeah.
Sitting back and saying, okay, I lost it today. Why did I lose it? What boundary got crossed here? Was it one that I even had said to anybody? If you don't say it, people can't acknowledge or follow it, right? If they don't know where your boundary is, they don't know when to stop. So we do have to say we have to be proactive in our boundaries and be like, okay, here's the thing. You're going to need to respect my boundary here.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And it's interesting because it's not just you and a friend, you and a family member for those boundaries. It's in our boardrooms. There are boundaries. It's in the minutes. We said we were going to do this. Did we do it? And why did we not do it? In my mastermind group, so I have another mastermind group coming up in March. And so we know that we've got 20 minutes to speak. This is our goal. This is what we want to do, and I need help. We know what that boundary is. You come in with your goal. We help you. And then we come in next week and go through the minutes again. So you said you wanted to do that. You got this help. And then what happened?
Yeah.
I love those boundaries because it's about the forward steps.
Yeah. And that's when you receive the boundaries from somebody else.
Oh, yes.
Right? There's also, they're saying in that kind of an example, you might have had a boss saying, okay, my boundary is that I need you to do this. This is what's required of your position. Sorry, I have my HR hat on now.
Yeah,
This
but
is
yeah, that is so bonus. I mean, it doesn't matter how big or how small that company is, you've got to have HR.
yeah, and those boundaries are so important. I mean, boundaries are why we have employee manuals, or why we have process manuals.
Yeah.
Right? Because those are the boundaries of how it needs to be done, and there's usually very good reasons why they need to be done that way. Because if there's a lot of effort usually put into like an orientation manual or policy or procedure manual, so when that's, you have to assume there's been a lot of time put into creating those boundaries. But we need to also be doing that for ourselves. What kind of time are we investing in putting in and deciding what boundaries are good for us?
What's non-negotiable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you watch kids who are 4, 5, 6, 7, and they're playing with their friends, they make sure they understand what the boundaries are. If we're going to skip, I'm going to skip first, and then you can skip next. And if you trip, you can do it again. Or if you trip, it's someone else's turn. Like they set them up, and they don't call them boundaries. Just say, this is the way we play the game.
Yeah.
This is the way we play.
Yeah. But that communicating of the boundaries, I mean, they're good at that, right? They'll say, those are the rules. Those are the rules of the game.
Because that matters. Oh, that matters. Yeah.
But how do we set up boundaries when it comes to behavioral things within families, within friendships, right? We often assume that if it's a family or a friend that we can't put a boundary around it, because we think that often we're afraid that we'll lose that person. If they don't like the boundary, they're going to be upset. Thus, they will leave. Thus, our abandonment fear rears its head.
And it's interesting, right? Because when we're with our group, we think they have the same boundaries. Is that an assumption? Exactly. They don't. Isn't that great how and I've run into those moments. I love my communities, and I recognize sometimes we're not on the same page.
Yeah.
And that just has us grow. That just has us be able to step out of our boundary, observe, and understand I'm in or I'm not.
Yeah.
And it's okay to not.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing is oh my goodness, the thought's gone now. It was there. It's gone. It'll come back.
Yep, absolutely. So it's not about creative energies. It's not about burnout. It's about clarity, alignment.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And balance, right?
Always balance.
So it's about balancing the needs of others with the needs of yourself, right? That's always the tough part when we talk about that. So in groups, in families, in whatever, there's always that, okay, how much am I willing to, and it's kind of like a bank account though, Jacqueline, isn't it? How much am I willing to bend in order to fit in?
Exactly. The question is, why are you bending? What are you bending for?
Right.
So if you have a goal in mind, that's what you want to bend towards, being incredibly clear and having your boundaries set, because potentially at the end of the year, you're thinking about your taxes. Now we're in the beginning of the year and we're truly thinking about what we did last year for our taxes. Yeah. Did we put the boundaries together? Because now, I should have purchased an RSP. Exactly. I should have used the tax-free savings account. I maybe could have considered buying a piece of real estate. Perhaps I could have considered going on my extraordinary trip. So I had this conversation with a good friend yesterday, who said, I thought you wanted to travel the Camino. Oh, I do. My boundary said, not this year. Boundary said, next April, when the weather's great. Boundaries. And I had to be okay with that. For me, if it was difficult, then let it be difficult.
Yeah.
And it allows me to move to find out not just about self-abandonment, but about the generosity of me moving, stepping forward.
Mm-hmm.
It's wealth is so many things, so many things. So wealth could be finding wealth to be able to go to the trip, or wealth is making sure that this year means that my business, my protocols are in place. Wealth is putting those in place.
I remembered what I was going to say.
Cool.
And it's about groups. So I'm going to just backtrack slightly from what we were saying.
Yeah.
We'll put a pin in that. We'll come back to that. But it was about hugs. We were talking about groups, right? And how we all have different boundaries. What came to mind is I'm a hugger. Not everybody is. But I have learned to always ask before I do it, right? Because there are people that you hug and they're like, because they're not huggers. And that's a boundary for them.
Yeah.
Right. And so respecting their boundary it's important not to just reach out and hug without permission.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you. In that I recognize, because I like to hug too. And I appreciate there are moments in corporate settings that's not appropriate. Even lending a hand to shake a hand sometimes is challenging.
Mm-hmm.
People are still hitting elbows. And then if you happen to be French, of course, you're going to come in and kiss a cheek on both sides.
Yeah.
And I've seen people standing 2 feet away, having a conversation 2 feet away. Tanys, are they huggers?
Yeah. They're probably not even elbowers.
Exactly. Maybe, I love this, nodding. Good to meet you. Good to meet you. And maybe it's the fourth meeting that you have, the fourth connections where it's, okay, well, I will shake your hand.
Yeah. And it's everybody's got their own stuff.
Oh, 100%.
Right. You think about it, if somebody's got some trauma around that kind of situation, where, and we don't know what people's trauma is.
Exactly.
Sometimes people don't even know what their trauma is. They just know they don't like it, right? Because, our human brain tends to cut us off from things that we don't want to remember.
Yeah.
So, you never know. And we have past life memories that we don't remember. And we can still have physical reactions to that. So we have, this whole trauma thing that could happen. And all of a sudden we don't want to be in each other's space anymore because it's very uncomfortable and it activates, our whole nervous system, and when we're in a bad place.
Yeah. It's that vibe, never underestimate the vibe. And so when you're talking about that, I'm like, yeah. Side note, I know you teach this. It's the Akashic Records, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you're talking about past lives?
Going into past lives, yeah.
Okay. So we'll talk about that in a couple other sessions.
Mm-hmm.
Episodes. I know we're going to do that.
Yeah.
That excites me, knowing that we all have so many past lives, even though sometimes we think perhaps we do. We step into groups where we've all said it before. You know what? Have we met before?
Yeah.
And the other person, well, no, we haven't. Like, well, all right, I'll stick with that one.
Well, I think you and I felt that way.
Oh, yeah.
Right away when we met each other, I'm like, oh, hello again. I know you. And we'd never met. So it was like, not in this life anyway. But we'd been together for a number of lives as well. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Great energy.
And we knew.
Great energy.
Yeah. I love that. When you can meet up with your soul family and you're just like, you've known them before. It's just a comfort that comes with it, right?
Yeah.
So it's different boundaries with someone like that. There's almost an instant. This is the thing that's so fascinating about those kind of soul things, is because it's like an instant comfort. It's not there's not the same amount of time building trust, building relationships, because you just know you've done this before. So,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
So then I get to ask you, because we're talking about the I've met you before.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I remember, maybe I don't. In that field of a community, what expands your field? You know, when you are out walking in a forest, what expands your field? And maybe it's not the forest, maybe it's a networking opportunity, or maybe while you're asking someone to be interviewed for a podcast, you know, what expands your field? And then I will ask, what collapses your field?
Mm-hmm. And if you're speaking about the energetic field, so you're
Yeah,
speaking about what builds your vibration and what lowers
yeah,
it, kind of thing.
yeah, yeah,
So, I think we have to be conscious, because the boundaries and balance have to be maintained too, right? So when somebody crosses my boundaries, I have a hard time, right?
right.
But then I also have to remember that if I haven't told them what the boundary is, then that's not very fair, right? So we have to make sure that we're sort of setting that up and saying, here's what we are. And if we don't, then we need to understand that that's our responsibility in that situation. So, when we talk about boundaries in particular, that would be, what sort of creates expansion versus, you know, versus not. I think depending on
As soon
depending.
as you're saying that, I'm thinking about magnetism. I magnetize to you. Anyway,
Yes. Well, and there's also we also have to take into account our energy type. So if we start talking about human design and all that, right, then we start
yes,
talking about what's our energy type, what
yeah,
is it that we need, those kinds of things. Because some of us are extroverts, and we actually
yeah,
need to have connection with people
yeah,
to feel good. It's important for us. Where introverts,
mm-hmm,
less so.
yeah,
Introverts, if they go to a networking thing, they find it overwhelming, and they get in that thing and they need the boundaries up, right? Because they can't be there for long. Whereas an
yeah,
extrovert, they go and they're like, this is great. I'm going to talk to all these people, and and it's
mm-hmm,
just the different personalities. But if you're not aware, or you're not respecting your own boundaries around what personality you are,
yeah.
then you're going to get, depleted in terms of your field,
And
right?
interesting. Well, when you say that, um, I, I'm here's hoping that people might think, if there's an event that you need to go to and you're an introvert, but you have to go, you
Mm-hmm.
bring a friend who's an extrovert, and then you go. And if you're an extrovert, sometimes you need a friend who's an introvert so that you can, with all love, protect, and so that you can take it down a notch or two. And dollars to donuts, that extrovert makes much better contacts because they've slowered the flow.
Yeah. So it's a very symbiotic relationship,
Yeah.
right? And you can also be an omnivert. I think that's what they're called, where you're outgoing, and you're like extrovert when you're out, but
Yeah.
then you have a limit,
Yeah.
and you hit that wall, and you're like, okay, I'm done now.
I'm taking my bus now. Now, I'm not
Yeah.
sure if you want to take an OC Transpo bus,
Yeah.
or uh, or maybe you've got a ride. It's
Yes.
time. It's time. It's time.
It's time to leave.
Yeah.
So what about energetic leaks?
Wow.
So there's like financial leaks, right?
Yes, there are, and this is the time. This is the time frame that we talk about energetic leaks or financial leaks. It's, have, and I asked this question. So I appreciate that you've got a budget that you go through, and you thought that you were going to put 10% of your income away to save. And the idea about saving was making sure that there was an automatic deposit into this, or this. Now, how does that feel? We've had 12 months. How does it feel? What'd you do? What was your success? Or what was your pause that you needed to stop and think, I made this much money, and 10% of that much money would have been this much money in my savings account.
Yeah.
And it's not. And then we get to ask the question to each other, what can we do this year?
Yeah. So like looking and examining all of the spending habits you had last year.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
And maybe it wasn't just spending habits. Maybe issues happened.
Mm-hmm.
I know, and I heard on our radio station, CBC, the Broadcasting, Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. And they were talking about in our government, something happened with Phoenix where people weren't getting paid.
Yeah.
There was a woman on the show who said she went without $50,000 that she never could receive because they made a mistake. She was on the cusp of bankruptcy.
Mm-hmm.
She was having issues keeping her house, not because it was her fault. It was because there was another entity that couldn't understand the impact.
Yeah.
So was that her issue, not being able to save 10% of her income?
Mm-mm.
So what do we get to do? We have that conversation. What do you want your next steps to be?
Yeah. Yeah. And there's also, the other kinds of leaks, right? We've got our emotional leaks, our time leaks, we've got our energetic leaks.
Oh,
so
Tanys, what's a time leak?
when we're poor at scheduling. Yes.
Ding dong.
We also have the leaks, like when the time leak could also be, we go down that internet rabbit hole.
Oh, yes. They're called reels?
There's reels, there's the shorts on TikTok or on YouTube. There's TikTok overall. Those can be big time leakers, right?
Seriously,
where we just get caught up in stuff and we're not able to be as productive as we could be. Right? And we all get into that stuff sometimes.
Oh, yes, we do. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because there's a woman who's suing those entities for that reason.
Okay.
She became an addict to it all.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like she has a way to say, that's why I was unable to stop looking, receiving. It exploded.
Mm-hmm.
And she's taken that to court. And why is she doing that? Because she believes that she has to tell her truth.
Yeah.
She believes there's others just like her. She believes that she's going to use the visura and she's going to communicate and not be afraid of it.
Right.
Not be afraid of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there is an addiction factor.
Yeah.
For all of these things, right? And there are certain people that have addictive personalities. And so if they're not doing, drugs and alcohol or something like that, they might be addicted to shopping. They might be addicted to gambling. We've heard of those. And there's also this now, right? So I think it's about that addictive personality. Because if we move from one, we're probably, if you have an addictive personality, you're going to possibly fall into a different kind of addiction. Yeah. The difficulty with it is that we want to, if there's an addiction thing, and I'm not a counselor, I don't know it. I don't know anything. So don't quote me on this. But addiction, if we're looking at it in the sense of it is an illness, right? Yeah. And so we really getting some counseling around that. is what we need to do to try
Yeah.
and reprogram how we see the world and how we go forward and how we react to those things when we have urges and whatnot. So it's not an easy thing. There's a
No,
lot
exactly.
tied up in that. So
And a side note, not really a side note, I believe in this 100%. I teach about it. If you witness someone who has an addiction or multiple addictions, address it.
mhm,
Address it. And addressing it is, can we have a conversation? Addressing it is, do you need a phone number? Addressing it, did you take a look at this website? Maybe that could help. Address it.
mhm,
To ignore it doesn't honor you or whoever that person may or may not be.
yeah. And it's I mean that's where your responsibility ends though, right?
Oh,
You
absolutely.
can't do it for them. They do have to.
No.
They're the ones that are in charge. So I think that we can address things, and there's that support not save thing, right?
Yeah,
Support, we can give them the phone numbers, we can draw it to their
absolutely.
attention. You can take a horse to water, you can't make them drink, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And that's about respect for them as well,
Isn't that beautiful? Respect, that our word,
because
that
we have free will.
indeed we do.
Yeah.
And um, and it's interesting because I had just said that it would be great to make sure that we had the offerings, the phone numbers, the websites, but and is that over is that complicating things or over explaining? Um, I know it's not about me taking responsibility, but eeks, if I am an overgiver, over
Yeah.
explaining, like,
That can step on boundaries, right?
yeah,
Because that person may not want the help, and that's okay. That's
yeah,
their choice, right? They have free will. So I, kind of like the other boundaries, I think it's important to ask,
yeah,
right? I'm concerned about some of the stuff I've seen. Can I offer you some assistance? Can I support you? Can I offer you some phone numbers or information for contacting people? May I do this? And you may get a no, and that's a boundary, and that's okay. Because the times that you don't get a no, you have the opportunity to do that. But
yeah,
I think it's important to really hold it with respect and compassion,
yeah.
because I think there's times when people are trying to be helpful and they don't always know what the person needs, right? Because maybe that's not the root cause of their issue.
Is
So
is that an assumption that we made?
mhm. So I think you have to have the conversation, and you have to do it with compassion, and developing or distinguishing where their boundaries are
Mm-hmm.
on all of that, because it is about mutual respect, mutual compassion. And I think that's the case with everything, not just like in an addictive situation. We're talking like in general, all of it. We need to be respectful and compassionate about where's your boundaries on there. Where can I help you? Let me know if there's something I can do. Even saying something like that to somebody, let me know if there's something I can do.
Yeah,
It opens the door for conversation,
it does.
without being, because it's kind of like that, the overprotective parent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Their child's an adult now, and they're still trying to baby them. And
And we say that exactly, baby them. And
yes.
and those adults say, stop being me. Mom,
Mm-hmm.
dad, stop it. I'm a grown
Exactly.
adult. You
I'm
don't
an
have
adult
to
now.
anymore.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
so then the parents are like, but I wasn't.
Because we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't realize what we're doing.
Yeah.
That's where the self-reflection comes in here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And understanding that other people's boundaries can move too. And
Oh,
that's what happens in those situations, right? Your
Oh, yes.
children do need you. And then as they get older, the boundary changes. And as a parent, it's up to us to sort of figure out, where is that boundary now? They're an adult now. How much is too much? How much is too little? I really want to see them, but they have their own life, or, that kind of thing.
And interesting in that we're talking about our children. That was a collective conversation. Sometimes we forget about our parents who are moving on in age, who are plus 70, plus 80, plus 90, and some over 100.
Mm-hmm.
And so do you find when you ask, well, can I help you, Mom? Can I help you, Grandma? And sometimes you get the, no, you don't need to help me.
Yeah, well, because they're very, independent.
They understand
they
what
think.
their balance is, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, and that's their boundaries. So sometimes, and if it's not for their highest good, then of course, that there's times when we have to let people learn at any age. This is not just seniors, it's any
Thank you.
age.
Absolutely.
We have to let people learn because they are not open to receiving, and that's okay too.
Yeah. And thank you, because that opens the door for us
Mm-hmm.
to understand, because we're busy witnessing that.
Yeah.
I know for me, when I'm taking a look at what boundaries are for me and my clients, and I'm sensing there are some questions I may or may not be able to ask, that's all right. I'm okay with that, because I have structures that will help them create what they want. And so my structures are pieces of paper that you fill in the blanks, or online where you can dial in the information, the emails. I didn't want to say it then, but I want to say it now.
Yeah.
I was worried about the question you asked us, because you asked us and I couldn't tell you on my own what I wanted, what I was looking for.
Yeah. And sometimes we don't
Boundaries.
know
Yeah.
what our boundaries are.
Yeah.
Right. We don't know what our needs are because we're not being self-reflective at the moment to figure out what that is.
I love that, at the moment. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. And it's interesting.
Needs and boundaries change.
Exactly. And it's not just in this spiritual realm. It's not just
Mm-hmm.
with mom, dads, et cetera, et cetera. The question will always be, when you're looking at structures, would you want to ask yourself, are you an overgiver? We just talked about it.
Mm.
And an overgiver of money. Someone
Mm.
asks, what, I need to buy that bike. A, how old are you? B, can you find one that's used? Does it have to be the new one that looks spectacular? Maybe. Do you assign your monies to the purpose that we talked about all year long? Have you assigned your money there? Is that valuable for you? Maybe it wasn't what you really wanted when we spoke.
Mm-hmm.
Those are options, and be passionate about it. If it changed, it changed, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So your budget changed, your savings changed, but be honest about where you have now decided where you want to get to, how you want to go.
Yes. And Nalani says, ask what this situation is trying to teach me.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah. She also says, the more I journal, the less I feel the need to vent. Yeah, because you're
Me
venting
too.
to yourself, which is good, right?
Yeah,
It means we're not stepping on anyone else's boundaries to work through
yeah,
our stuff too.
so true.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and side note, while you're, for me, sometimes, a lot of times when I'm journaling, I peel oranges, or I always have grapes. It feels great. The scent of an orange, the taste of
Mm.
a grape. I'm like, wicked.
Mm-hmm. And so I can't believe it. we're already like 5 minutes left.
No, it's not time yet.
It is. It's actually a little past our usual time because we
Oops.
usually do 45 minutes, and we're at like 55 minutes.
Uh-oh.
So
Good
it's
times.
totally fine. We've just been enthralled in the conversation, but it
Thinking
is
about
almost
grapes
our
and
time.
oranges.
It is almost our supper time. She talked about food. It's time for supper.
Oh,
So,
yes, it is. Yes, it is.
but we are so happy to have had you with us today, and thank you for joining us. What have you got going on this week, Jacqueline? Anything that you would like to share?
It's Yoga for Your Personal Finances, the 7 sessions coming online. If you take a look at Twillow Academy, you will find information about it. I'm there to answer any questions. It is on Zoom. It's in the evening, and I think you'll love it. It's the yoga and the chakras and talking about things you might not want to talk about, like what is equity and what is credit scores and what is the rule of 72. We'll talk about really groovy things like that. Just 7 moments where we get to hang out together. So I'm very excited bringing it back.
It's awesome. We're looking forward to that. So that starts on the 23rd at 7:30 p.m. with Jacqueline. And stay tuned for some more yoga classes. We're building up to a 200-hour yoga instructor training. So stay tuned to the website and stuff. We're going to be putting some more information about that out shortly.
300 days with all of us together. I'm so excited, Tanys. I'm so excited. And yes, so will you once you sign up and say, yes, I'm in it too.
Yeah. And it's online and teleprompter kind of thing, as well as in person. So we do a blend of all of it.
Yeah, it's a hybrid. Yeah.
It's a hybrid course.
Yeah.
So don't think that because you're not in Ottawa that you can't do it, because we have our ways.
I do. I have family in the UK and in New York.
Yep. So come and join us.
Yep.
And we also have, I have a support group with Jennifer on the weekend with Beyond Being Human. And I think it's beyondbeinghuman.org. If you go to there, you'll see the thing for support groups, and we're doing one on this Saturday. Actually, what we're doing is getting a bunch of people together to send out love to the world. So if you're interested, come and join us. I will put the link in the chat at the end of the show, and we'll let you know where that's at. So you can sign up and come and chat with Jen and I on Zoom and chat with like-minded people.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we will see you back here next week. Right?
Awesome.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure sharing energy with all of you, and we'll see you soon. Take care.
Absolutely. Be well.